Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today, we're digging into something that I think a lot of us think about,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to self-improvement.
Mm.
How much does our attitude actually impact our likelihood of success?
Right.
And to get a little deeper on this,
Yeah.
we have some excerpts from an interview with Robert Greene,
Oh, wow.
who you might know
Okay.
from his books,
Yeah.
like The 48 Laws of Power.
Laws of human nature, for sure.
Yeah.
Big ones.
So he's coming at it from this really interesting perspective
Right.
of power and strategy.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing in this interview is a surprisingly introspective side of him.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's not.
It's almost like he's saying,
Yeah.
forget all the Machiavellian maneuvering.
Yeah. The first battleground is within yourself.
Right.
And he really emphasizes this idea of a realistic attitude,
Okay. Interesting.
which I think is especially interesting given
Yeah.
some of the health challenges that he's publicly talked about recently.
Yeah. And, he used to kind of be an aggressive guy,
Right.
and now he's had a stroke.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of,
Wow.
yeah, it's a very introspective turn for him.
Yeah, so he's really emphasizing things now like forgiveness,
Yes.
acknowledging limitations.
Exactly.
Which is that's not what you would expect from the 48 Laws of Power guy.
Not the first thing you think of,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a key part of having a realistic attitude,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
how does that even work?
Yeah, what does that actually mean in a practical sense?
What does that look like?
To have a realistic attitude.
Well, I think he's saying it starts with really looking in the mirror
Okay.
and getting radically self-aware.
Okay.
Being able to say, this is me,
Yeah.
this is who I am, realistically.
Okay.
These are my strengths, these are my weaknesses,
Mhm.
this is what I'm capable of creating.
I like that because it's not about denying any part of yourself. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not.
Right.
It's about understanding what your actual starting point is so
Yeah.
that you can realistically set goals and
Got it.
chart a course towards something.
I think that's where self-knowledge comes in.
Okay.
Like Greene talks about understanding your needs and your desires.
Yeah.
And even those
Yeah.
patterns in your behavior
Yeah.
that might be holding you back.
Yeah. Right.
And I think without that clarity,
Yeah.
our view of ourselves and the world gets really distorted.
It's like trying to navigate with a broken compass.
Exactly.
You think you're headed in the right direction, but you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Lost at sea.
And it makes me think of that
Totally.
classic quote, know thyself.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a simple statement,
It is.
but it's so hard to actually do.
And it's so important.
Yeah, and this is just
Yeah.
one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Because,
There's this other part.
yeah, Greene uses this really
Yeah.
great analogy of the rider and the horse
Oh, yeah. I like that one.
to kind of illustrate this next step.
Tell me more about that.
So the rider obviously representing our rational mind,
Right.
trying to steer this very powerful,
Sometimes unpredictable horse, which is our emotions.
yes, and anyone who's ever felt out of control
Oh, my God.
knows what that's like.
It's such a good analogy
It is a good one.
because we've all been there
It's so true.
where you just feel like your emotions are running the show
Totally.
and you're just holding on for dear life.
It can feel like that sometimes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's
And I think what's interesting is
Yeah.
Greene's not saying we should
all right.
like repress our emotions or
Okay.
pretend they're not there.
Okay.
It's more about mastering them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not about
Not about denying the horse is there.
pretending the horse isn't there.
Right.
It's about learning how to actually ride it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Learn how to ride the horse. I like that.
And he even talks about his own struggles with anger,
Okay.
which I think is really relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he channels that anger into his writing.
So he's found a way to work with that energy
Yes,
rather than letting it control him,
exactly.
which I think is a really,
That's the key, right?
that's huge.
It's not about
Yeah.
pretending the emotion isn't there.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing it,
Yeah.
understanding it,
Yeah.
and then choosing how you want to engage with it.
So it sounds like what we're building here
Yeah,
is
but-
like a toolkit
Okay.
for this realistic attitude.
I like it.
So we've got the self-awareness,
Yeah,
we've
sure.
got the emotional mastery.
Mhm.
What else is in this toolkit?
What else do we need?
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, what's next? Well, every toolkit needs the
Yeah.
right tools for the job.
Oh, okay.
And in this case,
Yeah.
I think one of the big ones is learning how to face down fear
Okay.
and self-doubt.
It's funny you should mention that
Okay.
because our listener specifically asked
Okay.
about dealing with self-doubt,
Yeah.
which I feel like who hasn't felt that
Right.
that feeling of like, what if I fail?
Totally. It's so common.
It's such a common obstacle.
It really is.
So what does Greene have to say about that?
Like,
Like, how do you...
It's interesting.
Yeah.
He's less into the whole, like, intellectualizing your way out of it.
Okay.
It's much more about action and experience.
So less thinking,
Yeah.
more doing.
Yeah, like get out there and test it out.
But how do you even make that leap, though?
Right.
When the doubts feel so real.
Well, he tells this really interesting story about skydiving.
Wait, Robert Greene went skydiving?
Yeah.
The master strategist?
It's like it seems so...
Jumped out of a perfectly good airplane.
I know, right?
Amazing.
It seems counterintuitive
Yeah.
to, like, the calculated persona.
Right.
But what he realized is that when you actually confront a fear head on
Okay.
and you experience it in your body,
Yeah.
it takes away its power.
But like the more you avoid something,
yes.
the bigger it gets
And
into.
bigger it looms
Yeah.
in your imagination.
Okay, exactly. I can see how that works for something as intense as skydiving.
Sure.
But what about those everyday fears
Right.
that we all have? What if my biggest fear is speaking up in a meeting or
Yeah.
asking someone out on a date,
Of course.
not jumping out of an airplane?
It's the same principle.
Okay.
You identify the fear,
Yeah.
you break it down into smaller steps,
Okay.
and then you take action.
So it's not what if I fail, it's what's the smallest step I can take today,
It's what's the next right step.
even if I'm terrified.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the key is to remember that fear thrives in the shadows of inaction.
I like that.
So the moment you start taking action,
Yeah.
even if it's just a small step,
Right.
you start to shift that balance of power.
It's almost like building a muscle, right?
It is like building a muscle.
The more you use it,
Yes.
the stronger it gets.
And Greene, actually,
Yeah.
he uses this analogy. He says, we need to become like Batman,
Okay. I like where this is going.
you know, like facing our fears
Yeah.
until they no longer have any power over us.
I love that.
So we got the self-awareness.
So we've got a lot in this toolkit now.
We do.
We've got the self-awareness, we've got the emotional mastery,
Yeah.
we've got the courage to face our fears, all guided by this
Yeah.
realistic attitude.
It's like we're on a journey.
It's quite a journey.
We are.
Where does it ultimately lead us?
Well, every good journey has a destination, right?
Okay.
And I think we get a glimpse of this when Greene starts talking about his next book,
Okay.
which is about the sublime.
Ooh, the sublime.
Yeah,
That sounds...
kind of a big idea.
It sounds intense.
It is a big idea.
Okay, tell me more. So
Not-
what is the sublime?
It's essentially about those experiences
Okay.
that push us beyond
Yeah.
our normal limits,
Mm-hmm.
that open us up to
Yeah.
new possibilities. It's a sense of awe and wonder.
So even when life throws us these curveballs,
Yes, even when things are hard.
like a health crisis,
Yes,
which
yeah.
Greene has experienced,
Rare.
he's saying you can still find
That's right.
opportunities for growth.
Absolutely.
You can
It's
still
that
only
meaning.
find a deeper appreciation for life.
It's that idea that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. But it's not just about enduring hardship, is it?
No, it's not just about getting through it.
It's about how can these experiences actually change us?
It's about perspective.
Yeah.
It's about how these challenges
Right.
can actually reveal a richer, more nuanced
Yeah.
view of the world.
And it sounds like he's also saying it's not just about passively accepting whatever happens.
Right.
It's about actively seeking out these new experiences.
Yes. Cultivating
Having
that sense of curiosity.
that spark of adventure,
Yes. Even when
even when things are tough.
things are tough.
It makes me think about our listeners'
Yep.
goal of self-improvement.
Mhm.
It's not just about achieving a specific outcome.
It's not just about checking things off a list.
right.
It's
Figure
about
out-
it's about the transformation
Yeah.
that happens along the way.
It's about becoming more open,
More resilience.
more resilient, more alive
Yes.
to the world around us.
I think that's the power
Yeah.
of this realistic attitude.
It's not about being pessimistic
No, not at all.
or cynical.
It's about being honest.
It's about being real
Yes.
with yourself.
With yourself and the world.
about who you are, what
Yes.
you want, what you're capable of.
And then using that knowledge
Yeah.
to make decisions,
To actually navigate your life.
to move through the world.
Yeah. Wow, what a conversation.
Yeah, this has been really thought-provoking.
I feel like we've gone way beyond just like
I would say
surface
more.
level self-improvement stuff
Yeah.
and really gotten into something
It's deeper.
deeper.
Yeah,
It's interesting how Greene
it is
can
interesting.
talk about strategy,
Right.
self-awareness,
Yeah.
facing your fears
Hmm.
even these big ideas, like the sublime,
It's all
and it
dead on.
kind of fits together.
It paints this picture
It does.
of what it really means
Yeah.
to approach life
Yeah.
in this realistic way.
It's not about being like...
Right. And it's not about
Yeah.
being cynical or negative.
Right. It's not about being
No,
a
it's
downer.
honesty.
Yeah. It's about being
Radical honesty.
real with yourself.
Yes.
Which can be tough,
It can be.
but it's ultimately, I think,
It's freeing.
freeing.
Yeah.
I
So
feel.
for our listener out there,
Yeah. As we wrap up here,
yes.
what are some key takeaways?
Okay, so first,
Yeah.
that radical self-awareness.
Okay.
Get to know yourself.
Know thyself, right?
Know thyself.
Yeah.
Your strengths, your weaknesses, your patterns.
Because that's the foundation.
That's the foundation.
Okay.
Second, remember the rider and the horse.
Yeah.
Your emotions are there.
Yeah.
They're powerful.
Work with them.
Work with them.
Don't try to
Don't deny them.
pretend they're not there.
Exactly.
Find a way to channel that energy.
Like Greene with his anger.
Yeah.
Turn it into something productive.
Okay, what else?
And then this is big.
Yeah.
Don't let fear run the show.
Don't let fear be the boss.
Don't be afraid
Yeah.
to take action.
Action is the antidote.
Action is the
I'll
antidote.
do that, doubt.
Yes.
Become Batman.
Become Batman.
I love it.
And then finally,
Okay.
never lose that sense of wonder.
Oh, I like...
Keep that spark of curiosity alive,
Because even when things are tough...
especially when things are tough.
Yeah.
There's still beauty out there.
There's still
There's still meaning.
so much to learn and experience.
So much to experience.
You love that.
It makes me think of
Yeah.
a question that Greene asks.
Okay.
How can you
Yeah.
take those negative experiences,
Mm.
those difficult emotions,
The hard stuff.
the hard stuff,
Yeah.
and turn it into something
Yeah.
positive and life-affirming?
That's a really good question to think about.
Yeah, it's a good one to sit with.
Yeah. It's not easy, but
It's not easy.
I think it's the heart of the whole
It
conversation.
is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah,
thank you so much for being here.
this has been great.
This has been fantastic.
I would love.
Really appreciate your insights.
Oh, thank you.
And to everyone listening,
Yes.
thank you for joining us on this journey.
Safe travels out there.
Embrace the power of a realistic attitude. Face those fears.
You got this.
And never stop exploring the world
The world is your oyster.
with open eyes and a curious heart.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.